5 Navy bombers took off from Florida. None of them came back. A plane can get lost, but according to everything we know, an entire squadron can't just vanish. The rescue plane sent to find them vanished too. 27 men gone in one afternoon. Searchers never found a single piece of any aircraft. The flight leader was a combat veteran. The sky was clear. His compass died. He said the ocean below him looked wrong. And this wasn't the first time. Years earlier, a Navy warship sailed into the same water and vanished. 306 men aboard. No wreckage, no bodies, no distress call. All of it happened in the same place, one stretch of ocean between Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. They call it the Bermuda Triangle. For 500 years, ships and planes have vanished here in numbers that shouldn't be possible. So here's the question that should bother you. Why does every official explanation fall apart the moment you look closely? Scientists say they finally solved it. They're right about almost everything, but they're wrong about one thing, and it's the part almost nobody talks about. By the end of this, you'll see exactly where the solved story breaks and what's left standing when it does. Here's what makes this so much worse. In 1921, a 5-masted ship came drifting toward the North Carolina coast, completely intact, nothing damaged, nothing sinking, the sails still up. Rescuers climbed aboard and found something that still doesn't make sense. The crew was gone. Every single one. The table was set for dinner. Food sat in the galley half-cooked, as if everyone had stepped away for a second and never came back. The lifeboats were gone, the logbook was gone, the navigation gear was gone. The ship survived perfectly. The 11 people aboard did not. And nobody in over 100 years has explained it. And that's not even the strangest part. Because that ship tells you something the documentaries skip. The official answer for the Bermuda Triangle is simple: storms and human error. But storms don't leave a dinner table untouched. Human error doesn't erase 11 people from a deck that sailed itself to shore. The simplest explanation doesn't fit the evidence. It never has. Stay with me, because what comes next is the part almost no one ever hears. Keep that detail in your head as we go back through 5 centuries of this. Every time someone tells you the mystery is solved, ask one thing. Solved would mean we found them. We never found them. So let's go back, way back. The first person to write about something wrong here wasn't a conspiracy theorist. It was Christopher Columbus. In 1492, the moment he entered these waters, his compass started behaving strangely. The needle drifted. It pointed where it shouldn't. Then his crew watched a ball of fire fall from the sky and slam into the sea. At night, strange lights moved on the horizon. No source, no ship. 5 centuries before anyone drew a triangle on a map, this ocean was already doing things it shouldn't. For centuries after, the stories piled up. Sailing ships left port in calm weather and were never seen again. Cargo vanished. Crews vanished. Always the same pattern. No wreckage washing ashore. No survivors. No clear cause. Sailors started avoiding the route. They whispered about it. They gave it nicknames. But nobody could say what was happening because every ship that might have told us never came back. By the modern era, this single patch of the Atlantic had swallowed more vessels than almost anywhere people dared to sail. And then it started taking things much harder to lose. Things like a warship. In 1918, the USS Cyclops was one of the largest vessels in the entire U.S. Navy. 542 feet long, 306 people aboard. It was hauling thousands of tons of fuel through the war, from Barbados to Baltimore. This wasn't a fragile little schooner. It was a floating fortress built to survive anything the ocean could throw at it. It entered the Bermuda Triangle, and it was never seen again. No mayday, no oil slick, no debris field. 306 people and a ship the length of 2 football fields, gone without a trace. And here's what investigators could never get past. The captain never sent a distress call. Not one word. A ship that size doesn't sink in seconds. There's time to radio for help, to launch boats, to do something. The Cyclops did nothing, because whatever happened gave it no time at all. It's still the largest loss of life in U.S. Navy history, with nothing to do with combat. No enemy, no battle, just water that opened up and closed again. If a mystery this big keeps you questioning the things everyone else accepts, you already know what to do, because it only gets harder from here. 3 years later came that ghost ship again, the Carroll A. found intact, abandoned, the crew erased, the logbook and navigation gear gone, as if someone needed to erase where they had been. Same waters, same silence, same impossible detail. The ship lived, the people didn't. 2 disasters, 3 years apart, and a pattern was forming nobody wanted to name out loud. The ocean wasn't sinking these vessels, it was emptying them. And the harder you looked, the less the word accident fit. But the case that would make the Bermuda Triangle a global legend hadn't even happened yet. December 5th, 1945, 5 Navy torpedo bombers lifted off from Fort Lauderdale on a routine training run. 14 men, clear skies, a flight leader named Charles Taylor, who had flown in real combat, the easiest kind of mission there is. 90 minutes in, Taylor's voice came over the radio, and he was confused. He said both compasses had failed. He didn't know which way was land. He thought he was over the Florida Keys when he was somewhere else entirely. The ocean, he said, looked wrong, and then his transmissions started breaking apart. What happened next still doesn't make sense. The Navy launched a rescue plane, a Mariner, 13 men aboard, packed with gear to find the lost squadron. It took off into the same sky. Within 20 minutes, it was gone too. A passing ship reported a burst of flame on the horizon, then nothing. By the end of that single evening, 6 aircraft and 27 men had vanished into the same water. The largest search in naval history found exactly nothing. No bodies, no wreckage, no oil. The official report listed the cause in 2 words that explain everything and nothing. Causes unknown. Solved would mean we found them. We never found them. Then the airliners started disappearing. In 1948, a passenger plane called the Star Tiger vanished approaching Bermuda, full of people, good weather, no warning. 11 months later, its sister aircraft, the Star Ariel, did the exact same thing in the exact same region. Both modern planes, both calm skies, both simply gone. No mayday, no wreckage ever recovered. This wasn't old wooden ships anymore. These were commercial flights full of ordinary passengers who bought tickets and never landed. The list was getting longer, and it was about to get a name that made it famous all over the world. Here's the twist almost nobody knows. The phrase Bermuda Triangle didn't exist until 1964. A writer named Vincent Gaddis invented it in a pulp magazine of all places. Think about what that means. The disappearances were real. The missing ships were real. The vanished planes were real. But the legend, the name, the whole idea of a cursed triangle, all of it came decades after the bodies were gone. We didn't name it and then start losing things. We lost things for centuries, then went looking for a word big enough to hold them. The name came last. The silence came first. By the 1970s, the triangle was everywhere. A best-selling book turned it into a phenomenon and piled on aliens, lost cities, time portals, anything that sold. So the skeptics fought back. A researcher named Larry Kusch spent years pulling the famous cases apart, one by one, and he was right about a lot of them. Some disappearances happened nowhere near the triangle. Some were wildly exaggerated. Some had perfectly boring explanations. But here's where even Kusch went quiet. He could explain the easy cases. He never explained the ones with no wreckage at all. Those ships stayed as unexplained as the day they vanished. And it kept happening long after we supposedly knew better. In 2015, a cargo ship called El Faro sailed into these waters with 33 people aboard. A modern vessel, GPS, satellite phones, real-time weather, every advantage the Cyclops never had. It sailed straight into a hurricane and went down. We found the wreck, this time 2 miles deep. We even heard the final recordings. And that's what makes it matter. This wasn't 1945. This was the modern world with every tool we own, and it still wasn't enough. So if it isn't a curse and it isn't only bad luck, what is it? People have chased that answer for decades. The first answer science reached for was methane. Deep under the seabed sit frozen pockets of gas. If one erupts, it can drop the water's density in an instant, and a ship loses all buoyancy and sinks like a stone. It works in a lab. It's never once been proven at sea. Then came the rogue waves. Researchers at the University of Southampton built a model of the Cyclops. They showed a single wave, 30 meters high, taller than a building, could swallow it in seconds. For decades, that was the favorite answer. There's just one problem. Rogue waves explain the ships. They don't explain a single plane. So if the water didn't take the planes, something in the sky did. Meteorologists studying satellite images found something strange over the triangle. Clouds with straight, sharp edges arranged in hexagons. Clouds aren't supposed to have edges like that. And underneath them, instruments measured blasts of air slamming into the ocean at 170 miles an hour. They called them air bombs. A burst like that could flip a plane out of the sky or shatter the sea itself. It's a stunning idea. It might even be right, but nobody has ever watched one take anything down. So for now, it almost closes the case, and doesn't. There's one more detail, and it runs all the way back to Columbus. For most of the planet, a compass points to magnetic north, not true north. Sailors learn to correct for the gap, but the Bermuda Triangle sits on one of the few lines on Earth where those two norths line up almost exactly. Forget that correction and you drift. A captain who trusted his needle blindly could end up miles off course and never know it. It's the kind of small, boring mistake that gets people killed. It might explain Columbus and his wandering needle. It might explain a lost squadron, but it doesn't explain a ship found with dinner still on the table. And then there's the convenient one. The Gulf Stream runs straight through these waters. It's a current so fast it can drag wreckage hundreds of miles before anyone arrives to look. So when searchers find nothing, the theory says that's why. The ocean carried the evidence away. It's tidy, it's plausible, and notice what it quietly does. It explains the one detail that haunts every case, the missing wreckage, without proving a thing happened. That's the pattern with every answer here. Each one explains a piece. None of them explains the whole, and the people whose job it is to know keep insisting there's nothing to explain, because officially there is no mystery. NOAA says it, the US Navy says it, the Coast Guard says it, even Lloyd's of London insures the world's ships, and they ran the numbers. Their verdict? The Bermuda Triangle is no more dangerous than any other busy stretch of ocean. Case closed, move along. And maybe they're right. Maybe it really is just weather, bad luck, and a story that grew in the telling. But every one of those institutions has a column in its records it can never fill. The column for the ships that left no wreckage, the airplanes that sent no signal, the people simply never found. And that's the detail that should bother you most. Since El Faro went down in 2015, there hasn't been a single major disappearance in the Bermuda Triangle. After 5 centuries of swallowing ships and planes and people, it stopped, just like that. The people who swear it was always only weather can't tell you why the weather suddenly behaves. And the people who believed it was something else, they've gone strangely quiet, as if the question answered itself, as if whatever was out there finally got its fill, moved on and left us arguing over an empty stretch of water. So what do we actually have? 100 explanations, each one solid on its own. Rogue waves for the ships, air bombs for the planes, methane, currents, compass error, simple human mistakes. Stack them all together and you can account for almost every case on the list. Almost, because not one of those answers touches the thing that started all of this. The silence, the empty decks, the searches that combed thousands of square miles and came back with nothing to bury. We explained the how in pieces. We never explained the absence. And maybe that's the part we keep avoiding. We named the place, we modeled the waves, we mapped the clouds. We can explain almost everything now, except the one thing that started all of this. The 306 from the Cyclops, the 27 from that December evening, the 11 who left their meal half-eaten on a ship that sailed itself home. Solved would mean we found them. We never found them. Maybe the mystery was never the triangle on the map. Maybe it was always the empty space where all those people are supposed to be.